Once there was a guy named Alexander the Great. But before we talk about him, we need to go back a little. To around 360 BC, when Alexander's father, Philip II, was king of Macedonia. Now the Macedonian culture was based on military and educational values. As for their religions, they would tend to base them off gods with the distinct characteristics of man. The gods they worshipped, Zeus, Poseidon, Apollo, and even Hades, were all just glorified humans. Anyway, back to King Philip. This guy, being the king and all, had, in addition to wealth, power, wealth, and more wealth, many, many wives. Today, though, we only care about one, Olympias. Why do we care about her? It's a little complicated, but legend has it that Zeus, in the form of a snake, was having an affair with Olympias behind King Philip's back. Well, apparently Philip strolled past a room and peeked in to find the snake and Olympias together.
Huh? My eyes!
He was scarred for life. Ironically enough, King Philip lost the very eye he had looked into the room with only a short time later. Enter Alexander. As you may have guessed, Alexander the Great was kind of self-obsessed, being under the impression that he was the son of Zeus and all. He got the standard royal treatment, wealth, power, wealth, and more wealth, but didn't become spoiled. In addition to that, Alexander was extremely intelligent and mature for his age. Aristotle, one of the most famous philosophers of the times, was so impressed with him that he gladly tutored Alexander in his youth.
Yay!
By the time he was an adult, Alexander was already a ruthless warrior, an ingenious strategist, and a brave leader. A couple years later, he assumed the kingship from his father, who was supposedly assassinated by the intents of his own family. This marked the beginning of Alexander the Great's lifelong quest to conquer the world. Alexander chose to begin with the expansion of Macedonia's northern and western borders, getting all the way to the Adriatic Sea and the Danube River. After that, Alexander and his armies crossed over the Hellespont, a tiny strip of water lying between Macedonia and Persia, on a bridge they built themselves. They were met by the Persian army, which they eventually destroyed, capturing all of Persia's chief cities and burning to the ground the palace of Persepolis. By 328 BC, all the Persian Empire was under Alexander's rule. As he claimed all these cities, though, he left relatively all their traditions and religions alone. However, he did influence the cultures by mixing them up with Greek customs. This was the beginning of the Hellenistic Age, which lasted all the way until the start of the Roman Empire. Oh, and remember when I said that Alexander the Great was a little self-obsessed? Well, as he conquered the world, he developed the annoying habit of naming several different cities after himself. They were called Alexandrias, and they probably spread out across his entire empire. Unfortunately, Alexander still wasn't satisfied with his empire, so he decided to go and conquer India, which he thought was the end of the world. He gathered his men and set out, only to turn back when his soldiers got sick and tired of walking.
I'm tired!
When he arrived back home, though, instead of getting a warm welcome, he got poisoned. That's one of the theories anyway, but that's beside the point. The important thing is that Alexander was half dead, and on his deathbed where his four top generals were asking him who would take over for him and become king. To this, Alexander simply replied,
Give it to whoever's the strongest, okay?
And then he died. Pretty lame way to go out, right? Anyway, Alexander's last words confused his generals so much that they just ended up dividing Alexander's vast empire into 4 sections. Alexander the used-to-be-great's empire had disintegrated. This revelation helped to spread the last remaining bits of Greek culture across the continent, but mostly just resulted in speculation among the followers of the gods, making many people unsure of their purpose in life and leaving others to think that they were gods. This eventually led to wars, polytheism, and humanism all around the world. The end.